Right then, welcome back to War Thunder, where today we'll be looking at the most overpowered aircraft in the game, the legendary Polikarpov Po-2. As usual, we'll be doing the history and technical details first. If you wish to skip all that and go straight to the battle, go click that timecode in the description. For those who want to stay and hear the interesting stuff, sit tight and get ready for the rollercoaster ride that is the history of the Polikarpov Po-2.
It's history time again, yeah.
The Polikarpov Po-2, or as it was originally known, the U-2, was designed by Nikolai Nikolaevich Polikarpov as a training aircraft to replace the Soviet Union's current elementary trainer, the U-1, which was a license-produced variant of the British Avro 504. The U-2 first flew on the 7th of January 1928 and was in production by 1929. As well as being used in its intended role as a trainer, the U-2 was also used initially as an agricultural crop duster, from where it got its nickname Kukurutsnik. Production did not stop in the Soviet Union until 1949, and Poland continued building Po-2s until 1959, by which time between 20 and 30,000 had been constructed, making this aircraft the most produced biplane in the world. The U-2, with its STOL, short takeoff and landing capabilities, was quickly adapted to a wide range of roles, including liaison, observation, utility transport, and medevac duties. The first recorded combat role of the Polikarpov U-2 was in September 1941 during the Siege of Odessa, where several training U-2s were converted for use as reconnaissance aircraft and light bombers. This caught the attention of the Soviet High Command, who commissioned Polikarpov to convert the U-2 to a light bomber. By 1942, this bomber version of the U-2, called the U-2VS, was issued to frontline squadrons. These changes included the installation of bomb racks for up to 350 kilograms of bombs, a rudimentary bomb sight, and a SKAS or DA machine gun on a flexible mount in the rear cockpit. The U-2VS was used for nighttime harassment missions. They would fly low to the ground to avoid detection, then, just as they approached the target, they would pull up, cut the engine, and glide down for their bombing run. Although these raids did little material damage, the psychological effect on the Axis troops was significant, as it kept them awake and on edge at night, which was rather stressful. This is apparent in the Finnish nickname for the aircraft, which was Hermosaha, meaning nerve saw, named after the distinctive rattling sound of the U-2's engine. The Germans named it Nähmaschine, or sewing machine, for the same reason. Perhaps the most famous unit to use the U-2 during World War II was the all-female 588th Night Bomber Regiment, who flew over 24,000 missions in total. On one occasion, pilots Yekaterina Ryabova and Nadezhda Popova flew 18 sorties on a single night. The Germans, who in addition to the demoralizing effect of these night attacks also had to deal with the humiliation of being attacked by women, took to calling these pilots Nachthexen, or night witches, partly because they were female and partly because of the eerie whistling sound that their planes made when they made their gliding attacks. That came from the wind rushing through the bracing wires on the U-2's wings, which the Germans likened to the sound of a flying broomstick. How they knew what that sounded like, I don't know. Pilots of the U-2 night bombers did not carry parachutes, as they flew so low it was seen as unnecessary weight. The U-2 was especially effective in this role of night bomber because it was so slow and flew so low. This made accurate bombing relatively easy, and due to the fact that the Russian aircraft were flying at treetop level and that the top speed of the U-2 was slower than the stall speed of the Messerschmitt Bf-109 and the Focke-Wulf FW-190, they were very difficult to shoot down. These aircraft annoyed the German High Command so much that they announced that any pilot who could shoot down a Night Witch would receive the Iron Cross. The Luftwaffe claimed only 30 such victories during the course of the war. The success of Soviet night raids caused the Luftwaffe to respond by creating Sturmkampfstaffel, harassment combat squadrons of their own. These squadrons, later enlarged to Nachtwachtgruppe, night attack groups, flew obsolete German biplanes such as the Arado AR-66 and the Gotha GO-145, much the same way as the Russians used the U-2. Poland made use of the U-2 against the nationalist UPA guerrillas during and after the war, mainly as reconnaissance and counterinsurgency aircraft. Nikolai Polikarpov died in 1944, and the U-2's designation was changed to Po-2 in honor of its creator. The North Koreans made extensive use of the Polikarpov Po-2 during the Korean War, using them primarily in the harassment role like their Soviet predecessors, earning them the UN nickname of Bidchek Charlie. The Po-2 caused several headaches for the UN forces, especially the air forces. For example, during an attack by a single Po-2 on the American-held Pyongyang airfield, 8 P-51 Mustangs were damaged and 3 were destroyed by shrapnel bombs. Another incident occurred when a pair of Po-2s attacked the Suwon airbase and managed to destroy an F-86A Sabre and damage a further 8. It was also during the Korean War that the Po-2 managed to achieve the only confirmed kill of a jet aircraft by a biplane, when a Lockheed F-94 Starfire crashed while attempting to slow down past its stall speed in order to engage a lone Po-2. As during the Second World War, the Po-2 was notoriously difficult to shoot down. Not only did it fly too low and too slow, as veteran Leo Fournier put it, because it was made mostly of wood and canvas, it was very difficult to spot on radar. Over the course of its 31-year production history, the Polikarpov Po-2 had no less than 36 variants, including training aircraft, crop dusters, float planes, air ambulances, ground attack aircraft, and several experimental prototypes. One variant, the Po-2GN, was the so-called Voice from the Sky propaganda aircraft, which featured loudspeakers under its wings to rain down the glorious message of international communism on the unsuspecting villagers below. The Po-2 is one of the most successful biplane designs in history, and was used all over the world. Countries that utilized this plucky little aircraft include Albania, Bulgaria, the People's Republic of China, Czechoslovakia, France under the Free French Normandy Niemen squadrons, East Germany, Hungary, Laos, Mongolia, North Korea, Poland, Romania, Yugoslavia, and of course the Soviet Union. Even Nazi Germany and Finland utilized captured examples. And now it's time to look at the Polikarpov Po-2 in the wonderful world of War Thunder.
Oh damn, that's one sexy looking airplane.
Right then, so here we have the Polikarpov Po-2, or U-2, or whichever version it is. I'm pretty sure it's the Polikarpov U-2VS. Look at it there. Isn't it wonderful? Now, in War Thunder, the things you should probably know about this thing is that it's a light bomber. Pretty much, you do get a very rudimentary bomb sight. You see this tiny little thing here? That there is the bomb sight. You look down through this slot cut out in the wing to aim your bombs. Not that you'll need it, you pretty much can judge based on your speed and your trajectory and whatever. It's fairly easy to bomb with this aircraft as long as you remember how slow you are. So you pretty much just fly over the top of your target, and when you're over the top of it, well then you drop your bombs. You don't have much time to get away, so make sure you set your fuses to at least 2 seconds. Possibly more. Speaking of bomb loads, let's take a look at what this thing can carry. What we got now is 6 Fab 50 bombs. These are okay, they can take out most of the vehicles you'll encounter at this sort of level. You get 2 Fab 100s, these are much better at killing heavier tanks such as the, maybe some of the German tanks such as the Panzer III or the French tanks. And you also get you get a mix of both. You get 2 Fab 50s and 2 Fab 100s. I guess this is the most versatile bomb load because you get maximum amount of bombs that this thing, well, the heaviest bomb load that this thing can carry, along with the 650s, but this thing has slightly larger bombs, so I guess you can kill a more varied variety of targets. Anyway, armor, whoops, that's the wrong button. None. There's no armor. Why would you need armor? It's not like you're going to be shot at. X-ray, well, you got the fuel tank here, one fuel tank, it's self-sealing, which is good, but it's right in front of the pilot, so if it catches fire, then he's going to get a face full of burning. Oil cooling system is right in front of the fuel tank, so it's relatively easy to be hit. Engine, I'm pretty sure this is the smallest aircraft engine in the game. It's a Shvetsov M11D 5-cylinder radial piston engine. Air-cooled, 120 horsepowers. Weighs 170 kilograms. It's... well, it's tiny, it's crappy, it's rubbish. It's very, very slow. Very, very slow. You get a crew of 2, the pilot who sits in the front where he ought to, and the gunner who sits in the back where he probably should also be sitting. The gunner gets to play with a 7.62mm Shkas machine gun with 200 rounds apparently. It's you know, it's the Shkas, it's a pretty good machine gun. Trouble is, with the new turret mechanics, it's a lot more difficult to aim it at enemy targets, so yeah, take that into account. It's more difficult to shoot down a million biplanes and such with this aircraft now, and also shoot at ground targets with it, because that's pretty much the only way you can shoot at ground targets besides bombing them, because this thing has no forward-facing armament. All you get is this one turret. So the thing to do is to fly over the target that you want to shoot at, and then you shoot at it with your machine gun. That's pretty much all you can do. Unless, of course, you want to bomb it, but you only get a few bombs, because this is, of course, a light bomber. Turret-wise, I'd recommend using the armoured targets ones, or the universal. In fact, you should probably use the universal, because you get the most incendiary bullets, and what you want to do is stock your plane full of as much incendiary bullets as you possibly can, to give you the highest possible chance of setting enemies on fire. Because, well, that's pretty much the only defensive thing this thing's got going for it. Setting things on fire. Armoured targets, you do get armour-piercing incendiaries, so you'll go through an engine block with these, but these I found have a slightly better chance of setting things on fire, so go with universal if at all possible. Run is very good. Well, it's a STOL aircraft. If you want, you could land on the top of a factory building. I've done that a couple of times myself. Here's the proof of it. Right, so trouble is, you get no brakes, so you can't land. You get no flaps, so well, not that it needs flaps. It takes off at 45 miles per hour. Well, so to speak, 60 maybe. Here we go, taking off at 56, carrying 300 kilograms of bombs. That's pretty good, if in my book. Trouble is, you won't be going much faster than 60, 70 or 80 miles per hour. That's around 100 kilometers per hour, I guess. So you won't be able to climb very well in this thing. Climbs not very well indeed. I mean, it climbs pretty well, but because it goes so slow, that translates into climbing slowly. There you can see what it's like to aim the defensive turret. You don't get a very wide field of fire either. It doesn't elevate or turn very far. You have to aim to the side of it. You can't aim through the little gun sight. And also you got this great big huge tailplane sticking up in front of you, so you can't shoot through that. That's one thing that the Russians got right. You can't shoot off your own tailplane. But yeah, it's a Shikas. It's a good machine gun. Can't aim very well though. It's quite difficult to shoot at baddies. Luckily, however, because this thing is so slow, look, we're going 66 miles per hour, most of the time they'll overshoot you. Which means that you can suddenly, whoa, turn around! It does turn very quickly. But unfortunately, you can't turn it very many times before you literally fall out the sky. See, look at the altitude, we're dropping like a stone. Getting no forward-facing armament, as I have shown. Right, let's go and shoot at that there target over there. Looks like it's a truck! Cockpit-wise, you don't get very many instruments, not that you'd need them. This thing is a very simple aeroplane, that's what it was designed to be. Very simple and very cheap and easy to build. Let's see what you got. That's probably the temperature. Although if that is the temperature, then we've got something to worry about. It's probably engine temperature, actually. That there must be the choke, or yeah, it's the choke or something like that. Don't know what that is. That's the lamp, I think. Can't really see it in the daytime. Got another lamp there. That's another one of those things. Throttle. It's an aircraft throttle. Your control column. Got a nice hoop thing. No trigger because you got no guns to shoot. You got your rudder controls there. They control the rudder. Look at it going there. All very jolly good. That's a bit of a graphical issue there. All-round view, forwards, up, down, what's it? It's all pretty good. You can't see up because there's a great big whopping wing up there. But apart from that, it's all pretty good. Because the upper wing is so high up, you can see around relatively well. Got no gun sight. Why would you need a gun sight? You got the engine up there at the front, and we've overshot the target, haven't we? Well, we'll come back and attack that later. First, we got to go through the rest of the controls. I'm not sure what that is. It might be fuel. That there, I think, is airspeed. It's all in Russian. I can't read Russian. Maybe I should be able to. This there, altitude, I think. Yeah, must be altitude because if we go up, it goes up. Altitude. In the middle there, you got the compass. So if we turn in that direction, whoa, the compass turns. Let's just turn the airplane around a little bit. You got this nice windscreen to look out in front, so you don't get whipped with engine fumes and all that such. Because there's the exhaust pipes. Nice how they stuck the top one to the left one, so it doesn't go into the face of the gunner. Driver, pilot, whatever. Might as well be a driver. This thing's basically a tractor. That there is the artificial horizon, so to speak, or the roll indicator. It shows you how much your aircraft is rolling. We'll just come around and we'll attack this target. We'll do it classic style, the way the Night Witches do it. You've got another one of those with a little bubble game there. If that's in the middle, then your aircraft is sticking up. Is not rolling. That there is the climb indicator, or pitch indicator, whichever you want to call it. If you go down, then it goes down. If you want to go up, whoa, it's gone up. That there, I think that, yeah, that's revometer, or tachometer, whatever you want to call it. This there, that one there, I think is the fuel. No, water temperature is on top, because you see it corresponds with the 70 degrees that our water temperature is. And if you'll excuse me, let's just go in for a nightly silent attack. Oh, the Germans, they'll never hear us coming. Oh, this isn't correct procedure. And... oh dear. Oh, that's done a lot of damage. See there, you can see how just because this thing is so slow, you'll have a tough time outrunning your own bomb explosions. It's shredded up the tail. Luckily, it's all working still, apart from the defensive gun. Yeah, the gun's broken. Oh well, we won't be using it. Any other controls? That there must be fuel and oil. So we got fuel, oil, full oil, 8 of the oils, and a little bit of fuel. All jolly good. Let's see if we can decrease the temperature of the engine a little bit. I mean the water. Yeah, it's going down. All jolly good. So there are the instruments you get. Rearwards view, you get a nice view of Ivan the gunner. I think he's still alive. His gun caught all the shrapnel. And you can tilt your head around, look down, get a nice downwards view, because it doubles up as an observation aircraft. If you're flying in War Thunder Ground Forces battles, and you can look down over the side of the aircraft, say, "Whoa! Look, comrades, there's a tank down there. I suggest you shoot at him, because I sure as hell can't." Bomb site, bomb site, same as every other bomb site in the game. Now let's see if we can't land this thing. It's a pretty good looking plane though, don't you think? It's a nice simple looking biplane. It's all you'd ever really want, isn't it? I mean, perhaps not as sleek or as stylish as the Hawk Furies, or as elegant as the Japanese one, the Kai-10. Not as brutal or as workmanlike as the I-15s. And of course it's got an extra pair of wings as opposed to the American one. The German one, that's got lasers. We don't have a laser. Well, we got one laser, but that's all we really need because we're a Po-2. There's no point having forward-facing guns because this thing goes so slow the bullets won't be able to catch anything. And here we go, approaching for landing, going a whopping 86 miles per hour. This thing has a very, very slow stall speed, but it's also got a very slow brake speed. See, we're almost overspeeding already. I think maximum speed is around 105-ish. But because this is a biplane, it makes a lot of drag, so you can slow down relatively easily as well. Here we go, slowing down. Whoa, just look at that speed drop. And come in for a nice, graceful landing. Don't need any flaps. Don't need any air brake. Don't need any wheel brakes either. There's no brakes on this thing. Just let it come to a nice natural stop on its own. Just like the old biplane fighters of World War I. There we are. Nice, and graceful and elegant. The engine stops instantly because it wasn't going very fast to begin with. And there you have it. Polikarpov Po-2. Isn't it wonderful? You may be thinking to yourself, hey, there's no Po-2 in my lineup. I look at it here and it's not there. It's just the BB-1. There's no Po-2. Where is it? How do I get it? Well, unfortunately, you can't get the Po-2 any time you want to. This used to be the standard Russian Tier 1 light bomber thing that you get to begin with, like the British Swordfish or the Japanese F-1M, or until rather recently, the American Kingfishers. But even before War Thunder was released to open beta, they removed this thing because they said, hey, this thing's too slow, nobody will like it. Well, weren't they wrong? This is one of the most popular aircraft in the game. Luckily, however, you can get this aircraft during Halloween by winning one of the races, the Po-2 races, I think. We fly around in a big loop on some islands and shoot each other with the little machine guns. It's all very exciting, and that's how you get the Po-2. You go wait for Halloween, you do the Night Witches challenge. Alright, I think it's time to do a little battle, don't you? Here we go.
Oh boys, battle time again, boys and girls.
Right, so the first battle was an unmitigated disaster. I tried to go for the whole gliding attack thing and, drop all the bombs in one stick, miss the target, and managed to kill my own gunner. So, yes, it could have gone better. Now all that I can do is fly back to the base. Because the Po-2's got nothing else to shoot with, and here I am approaching the base, and oh no, there's enemy fighters. I managed to avoid one by flying around a bit, almost crash into a tree, but managed to avoid it, and then I'm attacked from the side and he kills my gunner. It's very easy to get your gunner killed in this thing. Second battle, I tried to be clever and fly down through a canyon, but then I forget how poorly the Po-2 climbs, and I end up managing to pull off a Independence Day. I think about going up there, losing precious airspeed, and the plane is about to stall, going 49 miles an hour, and I hit the ground. There we go. Yes, it could have gone better, I will admit. So remember how slow this thing goes in future. Right, so third time's the charm. Here we are in Kalkin Gol. I always spawn on the airfield if I can with this thing, because, well, if you spawn where the bombers spawn, then it'll take forever to get down onto the ground, because that's where you need to be able to defend yourself and bomb anything. I mean, it does take forever to get anywhere anyway, but then at least you don't have to go around on zero throttle, because you can't really descend with this thing very well at all, because it keeps overspeeding. Anyway, so we take off, much to the amusement of the other pilots, I'm sure. Very slowly indeed, being overtaken by everything. We're in no hurry. They'll go off and fight their enemies, we'll go off and fight ours. If there are any left by the time we get there, of course. There's a TBD, that does make sure that that is very difficult to achieve. Anyway, so we're up in the air, sort of, mostly. And I'm going to show you the entirety of this trip, just so you can appreciate how unfathomably slow this aeroplane is. Don't say I didn't warn you, and no, I'm not going to put a time code in the description for you to skip it. You're going to sit here and suffer with me. Yes, because that's what I do for you. Now you're going to do it for me. Incidentally, if you do fly this thing on the Korean map, somebody's jumped out of their airplane already. Anyway, if you start on the Korean map and you want to start on the airfield, don't try and fly over the mountain, you can't do it. I once tried driving over the mountain by landing and trying to drive over it. Doesn't work. You end up going too quickly or too slowly and you crash and you burn and you die. So you have to fly all the way around it following the river. Which takes a very, very long time. And then the game is suddenly like, whoa, he must be high up in the air enough to have taken off now. We're like 2 miles from the airbase, but he's finally taken off. No, I was just flying super low, which is what you want to do in the Po-2. And hope to avoid detection, because although this thing has the reputation of being too OP, Po-2 OP, it is in fact very easy to shoot down. I mean, yeah, you got the advantage of being super slow and having a gas machine gun, but the gunner is easily killed, and the pilot is also easily killed, because there's no armor, and they're basically sitting out in the open. There's not even any airframe to protect you. All of the little control wires, well, they're outside of the airplane. They won't stop a bullet. And the hull's made of tissue paper, so, yeah. Don't expect to survive many encounters. Most of the time they overshoot on their first pass, but by the time they loop round for the second, they'll either have fallen out of the sky, or they'll chew you apart, chew you up, and spit you out. Looking around, there's a bunch of enemies flying about. They won't come over here. There's no reason for them to come over here. They probably can't see us. I think we're too low. Alright, I'm looking ahead, seeing if there's any ground targets around there. I initially head towards that bombing point a little bit. One of the bombing points, seeing if I can dump my bombs on one of them. But I think I have decided at this point to go and try and bomb some of those ground targets. You get more points for those, don't you know? Than the bombing points. Which, yeah, it's not really fair for the heavy bomber pilots, but there you go. Little look around the cockpit. We already know what all the controls and the instruments say, don't we? Yes. Looking through the bracing wires. Much better view out the front than the Swordfish, which we'll review soon. A little look round. Imagining what it'd be like for a Po-2 pilot, although of course they'd be doing this at night time, under the cover of darkness. Not that that's got much to do with anything in War Thunder. You can pretty much see everything everywhere anyway. I've got my microphone on, I think. I just checked, yes, it appears to be on, so if this isn't recording, then I'm going to be very cross indeed. Looking down at the shadow. Look how slowly the shadow, except we're not looking at the shadow now, but just looking around a bit. Making some cinematic shots. Even though I won't use them for the thumbnail, I'll probably draw a thumbnail. People talking in the chat, well not talking, people spamming in the chat. Hey look, there's a Dornier over there. I do like the Dornier Do 17. It's one of my favourite bombers. It's not my absolute favourite, of course, that would be the Heinkel HE-111. Don't ask me why, it's because it's got a greenhouse in the front, that's why. Okay, do ask me, I'll tell you. The greenhouse, that's why. Yeah, it's a Russian bomber, one of those millions of the SB-2N bombers. He's gonna go bomb the bombing point. And I'm still rolling along. Those Cherokees are after me, but I'm singing a happy song. Anyway, you can already see that there's an I-15 over there, and a TBD all shooting up the ground targets. I really don't like it when the fighters go shoot up the ground targets when I'm flying a attacker. They're shooting up my targets. I can't go and shoot down their fighter planes. So why are they going down here and shooting up my ground targets? Do your jobs, fighter pilots. Shoot at the enemy planes, that's what you're there for. If you want to shoot at ground targets, fly a ground attacker. Ugh. It's annoying. And I won't apologise for it. I will stand by what I said, for it is relevant. There's a B-18 Bolo there, flying back to his airbase. Is it Bolo? Probably Bolo. What the heck even is a Bolo? I know what a Bola is. I know what Ebola is. But I don't know what a Bolo is. Maybe Google will tell me. I can't look it up right now because I'm recording a video. But maybe I will look it up in future. I'll probably forget, of course. Alright, so you all done shooting up my ground targets? I was thinking of shooting at those artillery positions with my gunner, but I guess you deserve it. You shoot it, Mr. I-15. Or Mr. TBD. It's not like I've spent a very long time trying to get the footage necessary for this goddamn Po-2. Do you know how long it takes to fly anywhere in the Po-2? Well, you will, because I'm showing you the entire goddamn process. There's Junkers Ju-87 out there, heading out on his second run. He's done 2 bombing runs by the time it takes me to get to the targets. But I'm not complaining. Anyway, for this attack, I decided to forget the whole gliding attack plan, because that's a stupid idea and I don't need to do it. It's not like the Germans need to hear me whistling along like some sort of flying cleaning implement. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way, using the bomb sight. We do get a bomb sight with this plane, so I might as well use it. Yeah? Yeah. So initially I think I'm going to attack this here light tank. I think those two up ahead are too stupid to realise that they can probably destroy it with their machine guns. The TBD at least. Unless he used all of his ammunition shooting at the artillery positions. Although I shouldn't be cross at the TBD. He is, after all, doing his job. That I-15 though. Ooh, I don't like him. Go back to your own country, I-15. Go back to Manchuria. Wait, that's where we are. Go back to... I don't really care. Anyway, so here we go. Coming in for the final bombing run. Isn't this exciting? Flying at around 1,000 feet above the ground. Although, of course, the ground might be elevated, so it might be less than that. Probably is. Just waiting for the target to come into view. At the breakneck speed of 86 miles per hour. Crossing over the remains of the other ground targets. And there he is. Just approaching now. And I zoom in. And I very nearly overshoot, but no, I dropped the bombs. And there they go. And, oh dear, I've dropped them all. I did only mean to drop the two 100 kilogram bombs, but no. I've dropped them all at the same time. I got my controls set up wrong. And because there's nothing else for me to shoot at, I guess there's nothing else to do but to fly back. Am I going to show you that whole process as well? Well, you betcha I am. I did it, so can you. Looking down. Are you sure? Are there any artilleries that the other two guys left me? No. Hey guys, can you please leave me a ground target? I'm a plane too. Yeah, you do tend to get bullied a little bit in this aeroplane. It's not quite as overpowered as many people seem to think it is. Looking at this board, we're one of the last pilots remaining. Most of us are attackers, apart from that goddamn I-15 who seems to think that he's an attacker. If you want to be attacking ground targets and a fighter, go play ground forces. Anyway, here I decide to set up the whole drop an individual bomb at a time thing. I mean, we won't get another chance this time, but I might as well set it up for future reference. Alt space. How wonderful. Give it a quick test, but I am indeed out of bombs. You only get 4 bombs. Suppose I should have gone with the 6-bomb armament. That would have been more useful, because you can kill light tanks with the 50-kilogram bomb. But never mind. I'm not going to do this again. I've killed ground target, that's all I need to do. I've got the footage for it. What more do you want? Me shooting down an aeroplane? Huh. I'm not doing that. It'll take forever. If you wanna get footage for shooting down an aeroplane, then it'll take at the very least 3 battles, probably more. Oh no, there's a Kai-10 over there. He seems to have spotted me, so I start descending a little bit. You can see just how quickly this thing is allowed to go before breaking apart. I do incidentally think about flying down through the canyon, but then I think, no, what's the point? That Kai-10's just going to follow me in the valley, and then I've got less room to manoeuvre. And less energy. I won't be able to pull the old Independence Day thing. You can just swoop in and out of that valley like it's not even there. I can't do that. I'm more like the alien spaceship in this occasion. And then Will Smith will punch me in the face and say, "Welcome to Earth." Anyway, I take a few shots at the Kai-10, hit him a couple times. You gotta fire in bursts with this machine gun because it overheats very quickly. It's the Shkas. It's very rapid fire, but it overheats quickly. I think the Kai-10's lost interest already and he's gonna go shoot at that other guy over there. I do a little bit of manoeuvring, but no, he's going round for another pass, not even bothering to go round behind me, and he kills my pilot. That happens most of the time with this thing. And so there you have it, the Polikarpov Po-2. It's not the wonder weapon that everyone thinks that it is. It is in fact just as awful as you would imagine. It is so slow, and it is very easy to shoot down despite being so slow. It carries a very small bomb load. It has only one defensive weapon. It has only one weapon at all, that little Shkas turret that doesn't even have that good an arc of fire. I can see why Gaijin got rid of it, to be perfectly honest. I don't really like this aeroplane. I know that may come as a surprise, seeing as how I like what tend to be rather crappy vehicles. But the Po-2 is just so crappy that even I don't like it very much. And now thankfully I don't have to fly it again for a very long time. Right, so hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you want to join us for the next one, where we'll be looking at the A13 Mark III, I think. Anyway, so hopefully we'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.